Hi guys, Nada here from Tech Testers, and this is KD25F, which is a brand new gaming monitor from Aorus. They actually released it last week at Computex. We were there, we got to play with it a bit at the booth, but now we have it here in the office to properly test, review, and share with you guys. So this is the first monitor that is using the brand new AU Optronics 240Hz panel. This is a 24.5-inch monitor that is full HD. It has FreeSync technology and it's a tactical monitor. Tactical just means that it has a lot of features that are there to improve your gaming experience, but I'm gonna talk a bit more about that later. Now, this monitor has some pretty big shoes to fill because the previous monitor, AD27QD, was actually excellent. So we did a little review of it. If you want to go check it out, there's going to be a little link down below. Just go click it. So we're going to test this one, see how it does, and see if it's going to fulfill the high expectations we have for it. Let's give it a go.
Are most mice just too small for you? Then check out Corsair's new Ironclaw RGB wireless gaming mouse. It offers an ergonomic shape that fills larger hands nicely, a top optical sensor, fast wireless performance, and is not expensive either. Check it out using the links in the description below.
The KD25F has a full metal base. It is height adjustable up to 54.5 centimeters in height. It can tilt, rotate. It has extremely solid base that is 24 centimeters deep. Bezels look pretty sleek, although the actual panel stops a bit before the bezels. It has a surprisingly clean design in the front. There is also RGB in the back, which is a very subjective thing. It is software controllable, addressable RGB, so you can match it with your other hardware, but it doesn't offer enough light to work as an ambient lighting, so if you want that, you will have to get some separate LEDs. On the back, we find a DisplayPort connector, two HDMI connectors, and a USB hub. And we also see audio and microphone connections. One of the interesting features of this monitor is that it offers active noise cancellation if you connect your microphone there. Gigabyte opted for a joystick for the OSD controls, which works really well and it's very easy to work with. But their OSD Sidekick application allows you to control all your monitor settings from your desktop with your mouse, and that is very, very cool. After having criticized their software on several occasions, we have to give it to Gigabyte. This one works really, really well. It is smooth and quick, and you can see the effects instantly. In the software and the OSD, we find several game-enhancing features. Some we've seen before, but again, that's not a bad thing. Now, some might consider contrast enhancing borderline cheating, but in my opinion, it's quite useful. Maybe I'm just bad at gaming. And there is also an on-screen crosshair that you can customize. You can also set the monitor to track certain timers and counters. Some very handy extras. So for example, you can make hotkeys to change the settings of your screen at the touch of a button, which is very handy, for example, changing your contrast mode between your game and your desktop mode. And you can even bind that key to your Stream Deck, for example, so you can change different settings between different games while streaming, so it makes it even easier. Gigabyte also kept the active noise cancelling feature from the AD27QD, which means that if you have an analog microphone you connect it directly to your screen, it should reduce some background noise. Now, it's a bit of a hit and miss, so it can be better, but it can also sound worse depending on what microphone you have, where you are, etc. So it is definitely a nice feature to have, but don't buy it just for the ANC. When it comes to performance, it is actually quite decent overall. First generation fast monitors tended to have poor colors, but the newer ones did quite well there, and the KD25F is no exception here. Color reproduction is very decent out of the box, gamma and white balance are pretty much fine as well, and the default gray balance is good too. Peak brightness is very good, it is 444 nits, there is no HDR support here, although that probably wouldn't work out well on a super fast TN panel anyway. Since this is a TN panel, viewing angles are of course not as good as IPS or VA panels. Horizontal angles are actually pretty decent, but with vertical movements you see a brightness shift quite fast. So it remains important to sit properly behind your monitor. Contrast is as expected around 1000 to 1 depending on the setting you use, but it is not exceptional like you'd see on a VA panel. Now, if I have to nitpick, I do have to say one thing. It does have an sRGB mode, but it locks the brightness to 174 nits, which is something we do see in a lot of monitors. And the test results in this sRGB mode are very similar to the standard mode, even though you would expect them to be a bit better. So I would say that you wouldn't consider this monitor if you're doing some serious creative tasks, but it is actually a very decent all-around monitor that is great for day-to-day use, even in other tasks other than gaming. I do have to say it does have 99% gamut, so if you do want to get that near perfect color reproduction, you can actually calibrate this monitor a bit. I also want to point out that there is barely any backlight bleed. There was a tiny little line on the right side if you're gaming on very high brightness in a very dark room, but that is really hard to see and the gaming experience is going to be great. And I also want to say that the uniformity is excellent. Now let's get on to what this is all about, gaming and speed. The KD25F is the first monitor to make use of the AU's new 240Hz 0.5 millisecond panel. Now the AU has pretty much set the standard for gaming monitor panels for a couple of years now, both when it comes to super fast panels as well as the popular 27-inch Quad HD fast panels, so expectations here are very high. This is a FreeSync monitor, but when it comes to the G-Sync compatibility, in all of the games we've tested so far, it was doing really well, so there was no artifacts, no flickering, no problems whatsoever. And I really do hope it follows the same footsteps of the AD27QD that actually got officially certified by NVIDIA recently, and that is not an easy task. Now, this same panel is actually going to be used in official G-Sync monitors, and Aorus used similar hardware to the AD27QD, so it will take some time, but I think that the chances of this monitor getting certified are quite high. Now, the main concern I have about this monitor is definitely the price. From what I've heard so far, it is going to be 499 euros in stores, and I do think that's a bit steep. You can buy a previous generation 240Hz monitor for 350 euros, which means that you're paying 150 euros more for a newer panel and a borderline upgrade. And I really think that Gigabyte should do something about the pricing to make it more reasonable. I really wanted to show you somehow on YouTube how faster these screens actually are. So what I did is I took a 480 frames per second camera and recorded this screen next to some other screens. So I used the 144Hz BenQ next to it, as well as a 165 Asus screen. Now, this is how it actually looks in real life and when we turn it to slow mode. So that means that this monitor is going to be a few milliseconds faster than the competitors we had here. But the question is, are you going to notice that difference? I know that you will notice a difference from a 60Hz monitor to a 144Hz when you put them side by side, and you can very much see it and you can feel it while gaming. But from then on, it is actually very hard to notice. And you have to ask yourself at the end of the day, are those few milliseconds going to be worth the price premium you need to pay for a very fast monitor? Or is it better maybe just getting a monitor that's more all around, like the AD27QD that has an IPS panel? It is 27 inches, so it's a bit bigger and it has more pixels, which is definitely better for those AAA games or more immersive gaming. But if you are just into FPS gaming and you need those few milliseconds, not just from your monitor, but from your faster keyboard and from your lighter mouse, and those few milliseconds are going to be a question of if you're going to make that fast kill or not, so a more pro version of gaming, then this monitor is definitely something you should look into because it is very, very fast. Now, that is it for today. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know in the comments down below what do you think about this review and about this brand new monitor from Aorus. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up, subscribe, and see you in the next one. Bye!